Joining us on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line is the head coach of the 3-2 Los Angeles Chargers, getting set for a big, huge home date against the Denver Broncos, which you can hear on Westwood One. And joining us on the Rich Eisen Show is Brandon Staley. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, Rich. How are you?
I am doing well. How's my parking spot doing? First and foremost,
parking spot is alive and well.
Is it?
We've got even more endowment for the parking spot. We were able to raise even more money in a year, and the people willing to donate for your spot the list is long and distinguished.
Wow, I am humbled. I had no idea that campaign was going. Thank you for. You're a multitasker. I should have been able to expect that.
Well, we're trying our best for you, bud.
Thank you, sir. What is the challenge presented with your team taking on the Denver Broncos from what you've seen on film so far and been able to prep at this point in time, Coach?
Yeah, I just think that they've got an outstanding team in all three phases, Rich. I think it's a very deep team. They've gotten off to a great start on defense. They had a tremendous defense, when Vic Fangio was there, who I worked for. So a lot of those pieces are in place, and I think they were able to add a couple of defenders that even make them, more dangerous. And they're going to get healthy here with, Justin Simmons coming back, who, is as good of a safety as there is in the NFL. So I think they're very good on defense, and they're very good on special teams. They've got good team speed, and they've got an outstanding kicker, Brandon McManus. And then on offense, they've got a lot of dangerous weapons. You start with the quarterback, and then the receiving core, the runners. They have an outstanding running back who got hurt, Javonte Williams, which is really unfortunate. But they're trying to find their way on offense. But all the pieces are there, Rich, to be really dangerous. So we see a team that could be very easily 5-0. They beat San Francisco, who's probably playing as well as anybody right now in pro football, and that was a really tight game. And so this is a very, very good football team. And
just when you thought your days of trying to make sure Russell Wilson doesn't succeed twice a year against you were over, here you are again. So now he comes in 2-3 in a team that I'm sure you're aware of has been beaten up physically, and then also just 24/7, 365 media-wise as well. What is the challenge with Russ in your history as well as now what you see in his new circumstances?
Yeah, Rich, 2018, when I was in Chicago, we played him. And then when I was with the Rams, we played him 3 times in one season. So I've got a healthy dose of this guy. And then the guys that I used to work for, Vic Fangio, Ed Donatel, those guys used to see him 2 or 3 times a year when they were in San Francisco. So, he's a dangerous player every snap. A big play can happen. He's an outstanding deep ball thrower. Really good in the gotta-have-it situations, in terms of third down, red area, 2-minute. And, you got to respect the resume in terms of all the big games and all the big environments he's been in. Again, an outstanding player, and I think the best is to come for him, and that's certainly what we expect on Monday night.
What's your 2 cents on whether a team's due or not, right? I mean, they're 2-3. They've been struggling in the red zone significantly, as I'm sure you've seen on film. What is your sense when you get a team that's been struggling at something so significantly over a season, and then you've got to face them?
Yeah, Rich, I think you got to go process over a result. Nathaniel, where he came from in Green Bay, they were one of the top red zone teams, in the world. When we played them in 2020 in the playoffs, they were about ready to set an NFL record for touchdown percentage, so he comes from a very, high pedigree in that field zone. And then Russell, in his, experience, has been an outstanding red zone quarterback. So they're at the beginning there. They're brand new, and they're figuring it out. And so you just got to go off, the people that they have and what can happen. Not what's happened, but what can happen. And, again, we're going to have our work cut out for us on Monday night.
Chargers head coach Brandon Staley here on the Rich Eisen Show, getting ready for Monday Night Football. Let's talk about your quarterback. And, look, I'm sure you didn't know in that Kansas City game just how significantly Justin Herbert was hurt. And I'm sure you had your sense of it when he turned down the opportunity to run for a first down on 3rd and short, leading to a 4th down situation for you having to go for it. And then he uncorked one of the most beautiful throws I've ever seen, ever. And I know I said ever twice. Yep. You're a former quarterback yourself. What do you think of when you watch that kid in that moment that I just referred to right there?
Yeah. I think it was a real chance for him in front of the entire world to prove just how tough he is and how fierce of a competitor he is. I think when the outside sees Justin, they just see the beautiful player and they see all the things that he's capable of. But it's probably the first time in his career where he can really show, that makeup that he has that I think is by far his best trait, and leading us in that game and making sure we had a chance at the end of the game if we get, that onside kick. But, for his teammates to see him that way, and then for them to have seen him in the days and weeks since then, go out there on the practice field and continue to compete and continue to improve, it sets the example for everybody.
Any thoughts of sitting him out because of his injury at any point in time, Coach?
The Jacksonville week was a tough week because it was truly day by day. We didn't really know how he was going to feel because he was feeling for things for the first time. So we tried to manage that week the best we could to try and get him, in a spot where he could be ready to play. And I felt like towards the end of the week, we truly didn't know what was going to happen in that game. And then, towards the end of the week, towards Saturday, kind of felt like, hey, I can go give this a go. And he gave it a go. And I think since that game, what we've done is we've gotten a lot better at, managing the week. And I think he's been able to get the practice time. He's been able to get the rest and the recovery. And he's played really well since. So I think we're just, continuing to, make sure that every day that, he's getting closer to being right. It's still going to take some time, but I think we've gotten better at it as we've gone, and he's been a stud the whole way.
He sure has. I mean, he just looks like no worse to wear. But and I know I'm asking a head coach in the NFL about an injury, so my apologies. But I mean, it is your quarterback, and it is quite a significant injury. One would think for someone who throws. He's still there is a lingering effect that you have to manage with this kid?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the nature of that injury with the rib cartilage is going to be present for a bit. I think, I'm not going to speak for Justin ever because, every day is a different day. It's you go out there in the NFL and you're going to, experience some hits and stuff. But I think the last two games he's made it out, really safe, and he's been able to practice, because of it. And, I think he's such a smart player. And I think that that's also something when you're playing with something, he keeps himself out of harm's way because of how accurate he is, the quickness of his decisions, and his pocket presence, his feel of the game. So that's also an advantage. So you're not exposing yourself to unnecessary hits. But just more than anything, like I said, it's just the example he sets for everybody on the team, and I think it's been awesome for the world to see just how tough of a customer he is.
A few minutes left with Brandon Staley, head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, here on the Rich Eisen Show. I don't usually fish for a compliment, but I'm going to do it right now, if you don't mind, Coach. Are you impressed of how long it's taken for me to bring up your decision making in Cleveland? Are you impressed by the fact that I've held off this long, Coach?
Well, I think that you're one of those guys that's going to save the best for last.
Well, yeah,
and really kind of create a sort of a crescendo, and really end the conversation with a bang.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the compliment I fished for, Coach. I really, really do. You're a giver. I mean, I feel like we've had this conversation before with your decision to go for it on fourth down more than not. Can you walk me through what you were thinking in that game in Cleveland, Coach, please?
Yeah, just similar to the week before in Houston. We felt like, our offense was rolling. Felt like we had really good matchups, and they were out of timeouts, and we really felt like we could end the game right there. And we had the matchup that we wanted. We had the ball in the person's hands that we wanted, and we were on the road, and it was a really tough game all the way through. The fourth quarter was really tough, and we wanted to finish the game with the ball, and that's what I was thinking. And if it didn't go down, I felt like we could cover them. Because I felt like we had covered them in the passing game. And I had faith that, if we didn't make it, that we could get the stop. And their kicker had an up and down season to that point. And I felt like giving the ball to Justin and trying to locate Mike, that was the best decision for our team.
So what are you thinking as Cade York is teeing it up, Coach? What goes through your head?
Yeah, it was tight. I was, really happy with how our defense played in that circumstance. I felt like our guys competed. We knew that we had to play tight coverage. We knew we needed to rush the quarterback well, making sure that he didn't scramble because he had made some loose plays in that game. And I thought our guys executed. And, that's what was going to be required in order to keep them out of the end zone, keep them from making that kick. So we made a couple big plays defensively. And, it was one of those, awesome road wins as a team.
Sure. And you're a savvy guy. You're a head coach in the NFL. You're going to be second guessed and certainly on the spot, as you were, including a member of your own team and a significant one as well. I mean, Keenan Allen tweeted out as it was happening, WTF are we doing? Have you had a conversation with Keenan about this subject?
Of course I have.
Okay.
Yeah, of course I have. The very next day. So Keenan and I, as I've told you every time I've gone on the show, and
Yes.
I know that you've spoken to Keenan, he's as close. I'm as close with him as anybody on our football team since I've become the head coach. So, I think that I'll keep that conversation between us.
Okay.
I know that I know how Keenan feels about the Chargers. I know how he feels about me. And, it's one of those things where I'm sure you're going to get the chance to ask him live, but I know that we're a lot closer because of it. I know that, competition, that's part of the game, and he wishes he was out there. And, like I said, you can talk to him about all that stuff. But I know that, I don't question Keenan Allen and where his heart is and how he feels about me or this team. And that's just part of competition. And, I think that as you're seeing, every single week, I'm not alone. The other 31 coaches in the league are going through the exact same thing. And it's part of why sports is so special. And, I'm always going to take full responsibility for what happens.
Well, maybe when I have Keenan on, let's say a month from now, it won't come up because you'll be on like a 6-game winning streak. How about that?
Well, hey,
what about that?
I don't think that with Keenan and I, we don't have anything to hide, and I think that I think that as with Keenan, he keeps it as real as anybody in the league, and he's one of the my most favorite guys that I've ever coached. So I'm just happy that he's one day closer to being back out there for us, and he's going to be a big reason why we have a special year.
I was just positively manifesting, which is what I do, and return in kind for somebody who gives me the compliment I was fishing for. That's the quid and the pro and the quo right there. Right there, all in one. Thank you for the time, Coach. I greatly
You're welcome,
appreciate
Rich.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Always, always. That's Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, who are about to host the Broncos on Monday Night Football.